In China, 90% of babies with Down syndrome are aborted. With 23 million abortions in 1 year, this comes down to 63,000 in 1 day, 2,600 in 1 hour, 43 in 1 minute, and 172 in the time that I deliver my speech today. There are more babies aborted in 1 day in China than there are students here at Penn State. Today, I'm going to be introducing you to a subsection of a topic that you're probably already familiar with. Abortion has been a prevalent discussion point in politics and religious debates over the past few years, but there is a subsection of the topic that I myself was not aware of. This being the incredibly high rates of abortion when parents are informed that the child that they are carrying has Down syndrome. I'm not here to discuss whether or not abortion is right, but rather to dive into the utilization of civic engagement and rhetorical devices utilized by this specific ad. Civic engagement is a topic that we have just begun to scratch the surface of in class. This ad is advocating for a specific response and action from the public, and today I'm going to explain why this is more important than inside the bubble that this ad was ran in. We are all living proof that our mothers were once pregnant, and I am confident standing here today that we've had aunts, cousins, sisters, family friends that have been pregnant as well. However, something that is not as celebrated or discussed is the topic of abortions, especially when the sole reason for the termination of a pregnancy is one extra chromosome, not a specific health risk to the mother or the baby. In China, the connotation surrounding pregnancy and abortion is a bit different than it is here in the United States. In China, there are Facebook groups where nervous mothers connect over the results of their amniotic fluid tests, a test that determines whether or not their baby is carrying the gene for Down syndrome. But these fears aren't ingrained from birth, they're rather taught and tailored by the government. The one-child policy affects nearly all those living in urban areas, and with 55.88% of the population falling into this category, it equates to 767 million people. It begins to unravel with this policy in place why this ad was so heavily successful. The government, being this authoritative figure that condones and backs this practice, adds to how common it's become. Fear is another tactic that's utilized. This ad is friendly enough at face value. It's bubblegum pink. It's a smiling woman wearing a crown. She has her own testimony, unintended pregnancy, be a queen. Even in the blurb that I pulled from the article where I found my artifact, it advertises this practice as a 3-minute long, dreamlike procedure. But the legal repercussions for breaking the law are painted in an entirely different light with a much harder stroke. Many women in China view this as their patriotic duty. It's incredibly important for them to appease the government. So while it is socially accepted, it's more often than not fear-motivated. This ad pushes a societal standard that cannot be ignored. 172 babies have been terminated in the time that I have delivered my speech. Down syndrome itself has been nearly eradicated in China. While we may not agree with this practice, their ad is incredibly successful. Their government supports it, mothers fear it, and media backs it. Regardless of our individual beliefs, the overarching trend in China is to abort a baby if it is determined to have Down syndrome. So while the ad may portray a warm welcome into this practice, what really happens behind the door at the doctor's office is a lot darker. Thank you.